Hello, Scrufftards. Welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And things are happening. A couple of maps have updated and showing some really interesting stuff. So I will take a look at that together with you guys. And so we're going to be taking a look at the Andrew Perpetua map primarily, as well as the Noble Reports map, because they seem to indicate that something interesting is actually happening uh, in Glushkovo, in Kursk, and that Russia might be in significant trouble as a consequence. Right, so let's take a quick look at some maps here. Last night I made a video and said I was waiting for updates on the big mappers, and nothing was happening towards late that night. And I was like, okay, damn it, I'll make a video. And as I made that video and uploaded it, updates were made. And same thing would probably happen this morning. But anyway, we can see here on Noble Reports that Ukraine here has taken control of Veseloye. They're pushing closer to Glushkovo, and they are now roughly 6 to 5 kilometers from Glushkovo. And they have also pushed in here, according to Noble Reports, trying to reach this railroad that could take them all the way up to the rivers here and to threaten Snagost from the west, right? So this is Noel Reports, but take a look what's going on here on Andrew Perpetua's map. Boom. Uh, According to him, Ukraine has pushed out quite a ways uh, east of Veseloye, and they have almost reached this small industrial town of Glushkovo with a W. Up here you have the capital of the county, Glushkovo, with a V. And if you watch my previous video, you'll see me talking about this town and the importance of it, as well as mentioning this factory. And yes, if Russia wants to prevent Ukraine from coming up behind them here at Snagos, they need to hold this town, basically. So and if Ukraine can push through here, they're not that far from the same river. Let's see here if we can. Okay, say that Ukraine is this far, and up here you have the river and the surrounding swamps and marshes. As you can see, 3.5 kilometers. That's not that far if you have very few Russians in the area. I think Ukraine stands a good chance of today during Monday to push these last kilometers, reach the river, and enter Kobylki and threaten Glushkovo from the southeast. Uh, and they are also in a good position to threaten Glushkovo. Remember, there was a lot of trench lines built north and east, and also here west of Glushkovo. And it would appear as if Ukraine potentially has entered those defenses here outside of the factory. So Ukraine stands a good chance of grabbing this town unless we already have a whole lot of Russians in this town at the moment. And I mean, truth be told, I've been skeptical about the whole thing that Ukraine would be moving in towards Snagost from the west. I'm still not convinced. This here could be a push to reach the river and isolate Glushkovo County. Uh, but I mean, truth be told, uh, what's the distance between Bahovo and Ukrainians? 12, 13 kilometers. Uh, Not that many minefields, not that many defenses in this region here. I mean, it's doable if Ukraine commits a push from this region south of the river here and pushes in this way, at the same time pushes in from here. I mean, this could be a pincer move south of this river here uh, that could trap a whole bunch of Russians down here, right? Uh, so if we remove these and use the measurements, so maybe Ukraine will make that did not work as intended. Uh, try and push this way, something like this, to connect forces like so. And then you, I don't want you. And then you have this entire area that could become Ukrainian control. And if this happens, if Ukraine can apply all of this pressure in this pincer move, if that is indeed what's happening south of this river here, Russia will more than likely be forced to abandon this push towards Lyubimovka, and Ukraine can then push in and reclaim territory, maybe even Snagost itself. If this is what's happening. It could very well be. I'll admit that I was convinced that Ukraine was going to head through Veseloia straight for Snagost primarily. And I mean, Noel reports seems to indicate that this could be in the works. But I don't know now that we're seeing Andrew Perpetua's update. It looks interesting. I'll admit that much. At the same time, my idea from the beginning was that Ukraine would come in this way and then move north towards Kobylki to isolate Glushkovo County. And that might still be in the works, that they grab Glushkovo County and then the counter push comes in from the east along this river to try and link up with the forces in Glushkovo. So we'll see what happens, but quite clearly Ukraine is on a roll in Kursk, and yes, Russia had some initial successes, but they seem to have stalled, and now they're going to have to address Ukrainian advances over here, which means they will have to draw forces away from Lyubimovka, and that will slow down everything. They might even, as we speak, be pulling forces from this front line, moving them over here, which should allow Ukraine to potentially move in along their border to link up with friendly forces over here. Very interesting. We'll see what happens during the day. Right, so there you have it. I just had to make this quick video this morning when I saw the Andrew Perpetua update. Really interesting stuff. I'm still leaning towards that Ukraine is after Glushkovo County primarily, and that the push we saw Andrew show us on his map, that is meant to head straight for the river primarily. But it does set things up, interestingly enough, the possibility of Ukraine pushing towards that river right next to Snagost and maybe allow Ukrainian forces in Koronevo County to push west to link up with the forces in Glushkovo. Needless to say, the Russians south of that Snagost river, I forgot the name of the river, that river right next to Snagost, they are in trouble because Ukraine is at the moment in a pretty decent spot to link up and surround and isolate those Russians south of the river. So Russia may actually consider abandoning that entire region. Wouldn't surprise me at all, because Ukraine has made a successful push eastward out of Glushkovo. So we'll see what happens. I'm still leaning towards Ukraine being after Glushkovo primarily, but we'll see. Maybe they are actually heading straight for Snagost to link up with the river and all those bridges to surround the Russians in that southern pocket. Anyway, that's it. Hope you found it interesting. I'll see you in the next one. As always, go på marsch, Ukraine. Give them hell.